Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and now we have over 100 clients. And we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 4 different TV studios with a staff of over 20. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have in studio David Timothy, the Soupman, and one of your strongest supporters, Kevin Bryant. He's the executive vice president of Inwood National Bank and a big believer in the Soupman. Well, let's start for those who don't know what the Soupman is all about, and I can't imagine there's anyone out there who doesn't know, because you've really been a fixture on the streets of Dallas for a couple decades now, haven't you?
Yes, Jeff, the Soupmobile started back in 2003. We started on a wing and a lot of prayers, but over the years, God has opened up door after door for us, and our key focus is feeding the homeless, but we do so much more. We shelter people, we give them a magical Christmas. We've actually got a church, Soupmobile Church for the homeless, and now with Kevin Bryant's help, we're building a food pantry for needy families, and we're going to start feeding these kids in Dallas that are going to bed hungry every night.
Well, Kevin, let's bring you in. God did a number on your heart, because I guess the Soupman kept coming to mind. You couldn't get him out of your mind, could you?
Sure. I mean, Jeff, that's true. David and I've had a relationship since probably 2004 when I helped him. He was serving out of a van that had 252,000 miles on it, and so we helped him get a new van, and then obviously my wife and I have supported him for years, but we're also able to introduce him to some other folks, and just the heart that he has for caring for these people that need help is just beyond any I've ever met. And I've been in Dallas since 1986. I've never seen anybody care for somebody like David does.
Well, we're going to get to the Soupmobile Church Annex in a minute, and you're playing a critical role in that. But I want to stop right now and just play a video for you. This was about a week ago. Fox 4 covered their Celebrate Jesus event, and here's that story right now.
The holiday season can be especially difficult for the less fortunate. This year, a nonprofit and a couple thousand volunteers worked to change that. They held an event aimed at helping others, not just for a day, but for years to come. Here's Fox 4's Blake Hansen.
It is not every day a high school band and red carpet greet those arriving at the downtown Dallas Omni. But the people rolling up on these coach buses are special.
We're giving these homeless people a magical Christmas.
David Timothy is known as the Soupman, and for more than a decade, his charity, the Soupmobile, has brought in 500 homeless men, women, and children around this time of the year to give them food, gifts, and a warm place to stay. This year, it's slightly different. Instead of throwing an overnight stay, the charity is throwing a job fair.
With jobs, they can get out of homelessness. So it's going to be a special day with Christmas gifts and all kinds of good stuff, but it's all about the jobs.
I've been homeless for quite some time.
For folks like Daryl Payne, the job fair is the perfect gift.
My goal is to get out the situation that I'm in.
While the event hopefully brings a brighter future for hundreds, perhaps the more emotional gift was given as soon as those attending got off the buses.
Honestly, I cried. That nobody's ever done that for me, and it felt really good. It felt really, really nice. I felt really special.
It was great. There was, I don't know, at least 200 people welcoming me, clapping for me, saying, Merry Christmas, I'm glad you're here.
You can't really be happy in a homeless shelter on Christmas, but this is really, really our Christmas day today.
proof that simply showing you care
I'm keeping hope alive.
is sometimes better than a material gift.
I'm just overwhelmed right now, and I want to cry, but they're good tears, tears of joy and happiness.
Blake Hansen reporting for us. Aside from the Christmas event, the Soupmobile provides more than 250,000 meals a year to the homeless in the Dallas area, as well as helping to house folks with nowhere to stay in its shelter program. We'll be right back.
So, well, thank you for that. I mean, that was special, and you've been doing this for many, many years, but the job fair was different. So tell us a little bit about that.
So every year, Jeff, we have this Christmas event at the Omni. We take 500 homeless men and women, and it's an amazing day at the Omni. But this year we did something different. This year we decided to have a job fair. And the thinking behind this whole thing is, if we can get these homeless people jobs and they can start earning some money, they can get out of homelessness. So it's wonderful that we can feed them. That's important. But feed them, yes, help them get jobs, even more so. And so this year, in 2019, December, we did a job fair for the homeless at the Omni, and it was a great success.
Well, and things keep getting better, and thanks to Kevin and his leadership. Tell us about the Soupmobile Church Annex, and we've got some pictures, artist rendering of what it's supposed to look like.
Sure. Well, David is wanting to reach out to what they call the food insecure. These are people that, as David describes them, have a roof over their head, but do not have enough food. Kids are going to bed, hungry, particularly when there's not school in session, because they might get a meal at the school, but they don't, on a regular basis. And so David has, when I came to him and said, David, what's God putting on your heart? What's the next step for the ministry? And he goes, I need to build this food pantry. And so as a result, we used some connections with some people that we knew. We spent some time talking, and I really wanted to get and do this the way that David wanted it done. And so we've just got a great group that has designed it. Good Fulton and Farrell is our architect. They've designed it. A gentleman by the name of Scott Lucas is going to be our general contractor. And so we put the pen to paper, and Scott helped us. And so we've gone out and raised money or donated goods of approximately $600,000 that will cover almost the construction. So now what we have to do is finish funding it for the freezers that we'll need and the other stuff that we'll do to help allow David to be able to make the mission work.
Well, we're going to tell people how to get involved in just a minute. But David, you were not homeless, but you were food insecure.
Yes. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. As a kid, I was never homeless, but many a night we went to bed hungry. Lots of times dinner was 2 pieces of white bread with butter and a little sugar sprinkled on it. So I know about hunger. And that gave me, that childhood of hunger, Jeff, gave me a real compassion for the homeless who are struggling to find food every day.
And I've heard stories, Kevin, maybe you can back me up on this, where children are going to bed hungry because the only meals they're getting are at school, right?
Yeah. That's true. What happens is a lot of times the food program that's out there with the cards that they'll use, sometimes unfortunately those something that the adults do things with those cards that is not getting food or providing for their families. So there's a real need. A lot of good organizations doing a lot, but David's never one to let it sit there, and he wants to come alongside these other organizations so that we can reach and take care of as many as possible.
Right. Kevin, why did God put this on your heart?
Jeff, I've been a banker for 33 years in Dallas. Very successful bank, worked with Inwood National Bank. But about a year ago, God just said, "Look, I've got something else for you." And I kept saying, "Okay, God, what is it?" And He wouldn't tell me what it was. He just kept saying, "You need to trust me. You need to step out. You need to be willing to step out on faith, and then I'll show you what it is." So I visited with my CEO at the bank, and he understood and was extremely supportive. And so I reduced my role at the bank. I'm still with the bank, but not on a full-time basis. And the first person that God brought to my heart was David. And so I called David. And I said, "David, what's on your heart? What's next for the ministry?" And then, it's been an incredible journey, hasn't it, David?
Amen.
Well, you guys are amazing. I'm glad God didn't ask you to build an ark. This seems even a little more doable than an ark. But David, tell everybody about the website. We're going to put it up and how people can get involved.
So It's easy. If you want to volunteer with the Soupmobile, if you want to support us, if you just don't want to know what we're doing, go to our website. Our website's our name, soupmobile.org, O-R-G, soupmobile.org. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Soupmobile is on our website.
And there's so many different ways to volunteer or write a check. I mean, there's many different ways to get plugged in.
We have lots of different volunteer opportunities. Sure, checks are nice, but we love our volunteers. They're the heart and soul of what we do. Go to the website, soupmobile.org, click on that big red volunteer button, and read all about it, and we'll get you hooked in with the Soupmobile.
Well, you both are amazing and such an inspiration. We'll have to have you back.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, that's it for now. We'll see you next time.